Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a movie review for you, and that movie is Marvel Studios' Black Widow. Let's just start off with the concept. It takes place during Captain America Civil War. It shows Black Widow going on the run after the Battle of the Airport because those heroes that helped out Captain America went on the run. And they were being, hunted by the government, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's where we picked it up. And then it turns into this adventure where Black Widow's kind of sister, not a biological sister, but they grew up together, contacts her for help, and Black Widow learns that the Red Room program that trained her, she thought it was already taken down, but it turns out it's not. So she goes on an adventure with her sister, and later the rest of her fake spy family go on this adventure. And you got some interesting characters. I think Black Widow's sister character, I believe her name was Ilana, I really like her, and I'm looking forward to seeing her more in the MCU going forward. And then there's also Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, who's a Soviet super soldier. He was a really cool part of this movie, just because of the super strength and because of he's got some funny lines and stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the overall positives of the movie. This movie has great action scenes. I mean, it's a Marvel movie. You know it's going to have great action scenes. I really like that a lot of the characters use very high-tech weaponry and stuff like that. And then, even though I don't really care for this version of Taskmaster, which I'll get to in a bit, it really is cool seeing Taskmaster fight. They use skills and fighting styles taken right from other characters in the MCU, so that was really cool. Like, you see Taskmaster using Black Panther's claws, Captain America's shields, Hawkeye's archery skills, that kind of stuff. That was a really cool thing to see in live action. But we'll get more to Taskmaster in a sec. Other positives, they went really sci-fi. Like I said, the weapons they used are really sci-fi, but then they have an awesome showdown in a flying supervillain base in the sky. Supervillain base. I think I said vase. Anyway, that was cool. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the sci-fi aspect. Otherwise, it has a lot of references to the MCU. Specifically, it references Captain America and the Avengers quite often because it's taking place during Captain America's Civil War, so it references the plot of that movie as well. And, the Marvel references, yeah, I like that. I like it when they reference the other stuff and just show that it's all part of the same fictional universe. That kind of stuff is awesome. All right, so continuing on with some positives, I thought the acting was really good in this movie. It's very cinematic. I like the presentation. You've got kind of that road trip vibe where you're kind of going around to different locations, doing cool stuff. And it also has all the spy stuff. I love spy stories, and you just get to see Black Widow doing her spy thing and all that cool stuff. So yeah. It was pretty cool. Now let's get on to the negatives. Alright, so the negatives, I think the biggest one probably is our villains here. For some reason, Drakov as the villain just didn't sit well for me. But he should, because he's a Russian guy who's using mind control to manipulate the world and do his evil stuff, which is similar to what Nikita Dragovich does in Black Ops 1, the Call of Duty game. So in that video game, it has a very similar plot with a very similar named villain, and I really enjoyed that plot. I thought Dragovich was a great main villain, but for some reason, Drakov, I just don't care for him as a villain. I don't know why, but anyway, of course, the Red Room program as itself, I do see that as better as an antagonist. Like what the Red Room is doing is a big threat. It's a big problem. It's it's a situation, a case that needs to be solved by Black Widow. So that's what did have some good agency, and of course they also tie the mind control stuff in with the Winter Soldier a bit, so that was cool. Then in terms of the weak villains, I talked about how I really like seeing Taskmaster fight, and when they first brought Taskmaster out, I was like, oh, this is so cool, they brought in Taskmaster. But then you start to learn that it's not exactly the same Taskmaster you hope it is. In this version, Taskmaster is the main villain's daughter, and she's mind controlled, and she has the ability to mimic fighting styles of various other characters, mostly Avengers. Okay, that's fine, but in the comics, Taskmaster is so much cooler. He's he's really smart in the comics. For one thing, it's a guy. Yeah, like I said, he's intelligent, and he's got an interesting backstory, and the photographic reflexes, I mean, like I said, they're in this here, but they didn't directly say, they didn't elaborate on it too much. But of course, the version of this movie does have the photographic reflexes, which is how she does all this, I'm assuming. At least I'm assuming she does. But anyway, so Taskmaster in the comics, like I said, he copies all these powers. He's got the eidetic memory. And the coolest thing about Taskmaster is how he can use his like his unique mental situation where he can copy all these moves to anticipate his opponent's attacks. That's what made him such a threat in this one episode of a Spider-Man TV show, where Spider-Man had to use a really creative strategy where he basically turned off all these lights and moved stuff around so the Taskmaster couldn't anticipate where everything was. That was really cool. And here they just had some standard fight scenes where they showed Taskmaster is a force to be reckoned with in this movie. She is very tough to beat, and in the end they end up defeating her just by using the anti-mind control stuff. But I would have really liked to see the Tony Masters version of Taskmaster. Taskmaster could be a main villain of a movie all by himself. I thought Taskmaster is a really cool character, and I thought they could have done a little bit better. But you know what? It's this movie's interpretation of Taskmaster. It was fine. And again, it was cool seeing him use Black Panther's moves, Captain America's moves, Hawkeye's moves, and all that. So those are some of the weaker points. Overall, I'm going to say Black Widow is a good movie. Is it the best Marvel movie? No. Is it the best superhero movie? No. But it's a good one. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a great new installment in the MCU. And it's got lots of nods and references, and I had a ton of fun with it. Now let's talk post-credit scenes. This is why I gave the Falcon Winter Soldier spoiler warning. Alright, so in the post-credit scenes, there is a mysterious character who shows up at Black Widow's grave after Endgame, and Ilana, her sister, is there. And this character gives Ilana the task to kill Hawkeye, commenting that she should want to get revenge on the person that caused Black Widow's murder. Now, there's a lot of issues with this. First of all, even if Ilana isn't aware of the circumstances of Black Widow's death, where she sacrificed herself to save Hawkeye and to get the Soul Stone, and the fact that Hawkeye himself tried to sacrifice himself, but Black Widow just wouldn't let him, even if Ilana doesn't know all of that information, she should know that Black Widow had have no ill will against Hawkeye. Black Widow was a family friend to him. They were partners for years. Black Widow, she knows his kids and hangs out with them and all that. Like, Black Widow knows Hawkeye's kids. So, Ilana going after Hawkeye, I don't know, that seems a little bit... Again, Ilana and Black Widow were really estranged, so maybe she doesn't know that Hawkeye... Actually, okay, maybe I take that back. They didn't really know each other, and it seems like they didn't talk much after the fact either, so maybe she doesn't know that Black Widow and Hawkeye were tight. But who knows. But anyway, so, I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. Like I said, I want to see more Hawkeye, I want to see more Ilana, and I'm looking forward to that. But here's where it gets really interesting. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this same character, as in this post-credit scene, the mysterious character, which they gave her name as like Contessa Valentina something, I forgot what the last name was. She recruited to like her organization, her clients, whatever, John Walker, who in the TV show, he's a guy who has a very similar skill set to Captain America. He's a notable war veteran and all that, and he becomes a government-sanctioned Captain America, and he's even given Captain America's shield for a brief time before Falcon and Winter Soldier take it back. During the course of the series, he also gets the Super Soldier Serum. So, she recruits a guy with a very similar skill set and power set to Captain America. And then in this post-credit scene, we also see her recruiting a woman with a very similar skill set and background to Black Widow. I'm thinking they're building up a Dark Avengers team. And how cool would that be, like a team of Dark Avengers? They could have their own movie. They could have a movie where they fight the new Avengers that are going to come together following Endgame. And, oh man, I'm just getting so pumped for this. So, we already have their counterpart of Captain America, their counterpart of Black Widow. They could bring in Trickshot, which I think that's his name, Hawkeye's brother, who also does archery. They could bring him in as their version of Hawkeye. I'm not sure who they bring in for Iron Man. Maybe Iron Lad could be it. For Hulk, there's a lot of possibilities. Red Hulk, aka Thaddeus Ross, who was in this movie Black Widow and in the MCU in general. It could be Abomination, who's going to be in Shang-Chi and the new Legend of the Ten Rings movie. Or it could, this is one I'm hoping for, it could be Scar, Hulk's son, who's not been introduced yet. Now that would be interesting. So yeah, this movie, a lot of fun. The post-credit scene is setting up some interesting stuff, especially when you take it in context with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I'm looking forward to seeing some more MCU stuff. I've really enjoyed my time in the MCU, and I'm glad it's showing no signs of slowing down. So yeah, that's been my review of Black Widow by Marvel Studios. Thank you for checking out the video. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.